Hello, Attactioneers. Welcome to the Attack Action Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Morrow, and I'm dressed in all black because it's Monday.
Nice. And I'm your host, Colin Honigman, and I am a classical music enthusiast now.
Oh my goodness. Let's just dive right into that. Talk to me, Mr. Bach or Johann. I don't know what you want to go by now.
Gustav, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've always dabbled in the classics. I was a band geek growing up, so but as an adult, not so much. But I went to Jess and I went with my lovely parents to the LA Philharmonic to see some classical music from one Gustav Mahler, who was interesting guy, and it was a nice Sunday matinee show with is it Gustavo Dudamel? Wow, I'm just realizing the overlap there. Who is the current director and conductor of the LA Phil, but is moving to New York soon. So it was
classic LA to New York, New York to LA.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure New York's Philharmonic is kind of trash and LA's is like very good. So it's like, you guys really need it. You guys, you could go take him. He served us well. He built a great, orchestra here, and let him go have his New York era. So yeah, that was nice. He usually is during the week, which is hard to get to. So it was nice to go see that. Which was, I love live music, but when you're sitting down, I get sleepy. Which I guess with classical music is kind of chill. It's not really a bad thing, but I definitely was feeling the afternoon sleepies in there. But it was good. We had a great time afterwards. We had a fucking amazing dinner at this place called Damian. So next time any of you fab folks are out here in LA, try to go to the Philharmonic. They're fucking really good. And then go to Damian if you like very fancy Mexican food. That is pretty expensive, but totally worth it. We had these duck carnitas, which was amazing.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I love everything about this vibe.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It's really good. And we were home by like 7. It was like a really nice day.
Love that. That's so great.
Pajamas on, game over. How are you doing, Taylor?
I'm all right. Today's the first day back from a week-long break in school / work. So very jarring, but kind of had a cool / maybe depressing Monday. I'm unsure how I feel about my Monday. So I got to chaperone a field trip today. So it's this cool project that this community organization is doing with our school. It's like a photo voice thing is the name of it, photo voice. And so the kids are supposed to take pictures, find a picture that they like in our community that kind of illustrates either its strengths or things that need to be better about it. And so we took a number of students into town and walked around in the rain and tried to get them to be like, take a picture of this abandoned building next to this other abandoned building, or how about this trash in this public space, or this nice thing, just trying to get them to be like, let's artistically, critically look at our community here. And they were like, whatever. Let's go buy a goldfish at the pet store and bring it to science class. And and they had a funny name for him too. But
wait, so they did buy a goldfish?
No, we were like, we're not going to do that. I was like, message your teacher right now. And they're like, okay. And then the teacher never got back to them. I'm like, okay, cool. We're not going to We're not going to go do that. Even if you do have a really cute name, it was like a classic teenage name, like Jean-Pierre Von Queef or something like that is what they wanted to name it. And I'm like, yes, I understand the last word in that fake name you've made up. Not clever, but it does sound good. Anyway, so that was cool.
JPVQ.
So that was pretty fun. Not my typical Monday. And then when I got back, I was done with classes. So that was pretty sweet. I just got to like catch up on my 400 emails. So that was fun. And then,
that's interesting. That makes me think. Recently, I had the thought that we don't value taking pictures anymore because of how ubiquitous it has become, to the point where we, for a good period of time, smartphone, it was all about taking pictures of everything all the time.
Yeah.
And now, like, I feel like we don't ever take pictures of anything that matters. Like, I don't have any pictures from like birthdays or family gatherings, and it's just like I got a picture of like this rock or something, like something that like looked weird, or like a funny license plate, or I guess unless you're my dog, I have a million pictures of my dog or my wife and my dog, and that's about all I take pictures of. But yeah, it's just interesting. I feel like that probably rubs off on younger people too, because it's like it's not I don't know, there's less value to it anymore.
I think they're also very self-centered.
Well,
and so they just take pictures of themselves. You know what I mean? Or themselves and their friends or whatever. But it's a cool project because then they're supposed to have a like paragraph. Like tomorrow in class, we will be crafting their like descriptive paragraph about it, right? And then we will these will all get printed and displayed at a local summer festival.
Oh, that's cool.
That's coming up. Yeah, so it's a really cool project. It just would be cooler if the kids were more into it and understood it a bit more conceptually, but whatever, dude. Whatever.
Was there even like one kid that got like was like, oh yeah, like
there was? Okay, so we showed up. Also, our town unfortunately is like very sad now that weed is legal. Like it's very sad. Many open storefronts after legalized weed and COVID. So there are some nice parts and there's some positivity, but walking around with my coworker and we're like, man, I miss the movie theater. Man, I miss the bowling alley. Man, I miss that restaurant. What? That place is closed? Like those things were happening.
Those are all the places I like to go when I'm stoned, though. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I know. That's why they've failed. But what was I saying about something in that? Oh, one kid had a cool. So we showed up to this like burger place that is no longer an establishment, and they apparently maybe sometimes still get mail there. So they like took a window off and just welded a metal plate and cut a slit in it for mail to go through. So there's just like a hole, like a visor hole into the restaurant. And there's like and they had like a weird aesthetic for this restaurant, but there's like a Betty Boop holding a burger like in the restaurant. And so a student took a picture
through the
hole. And I was like, that's pretty dope.
Nice.
So hopefully that turns out good. And that's the one they choose. Yeah.
I feel like percentage wise, that probably tracks with like, people who are drawn to arts and, creativity in that way, and can focus in a group setting amongst their peers. Cause, it's not cool to like, give a shit about anything. So might as well talk about what we'll name our goldfish that we're going to bring to science class to study for science.
Yeah. No, there's apparently ricotta Cheese is the other goldfish, and they need a friend. Was the whole motivation. So
they're just more science kids than art kids. I think that's you just said the different batch, and they're just interested in what they're interested in. So
totally. Question for you here, Colin. So clearly, the audience has clocked that it's just you and me, the OGs.
I thought Blake was just like being alarmingly quiet this whole time.
No, that's not. It's just us, the two daddies of the podcast. Is this episode canonical or not with just the two of us? Does this exist in a separate reality and is like kind of maybe a prequel or a what if scenario and is not part of the main storyline of season 2 of the Attack Action podcast?
It's the spin-off animated series where we just explore what it would have been like if we gave Blake less power. And if we didn't recruit another really good player like Zane.
Yeah.
I think obviously, this is non-canonical and extremely off-putting.
But some people, the real Attactioneers, the real mustache heads, are definitely here for it. They're like, I love it when they do this, No,
I think, that was the point of bringing on 2 other people, is so that we could be flexible. Which I guess means flexible around my schedule, because when everyone else was like, I can't do it that day, I was like, well, that's when I could do it. So that's what's happening. So I should think about that in my need for control.
You have a need for control?
Seems like it.
About in therapy or?
No, never come up because it's not really a thing, but I feel like I have issues relinquishing certain parts of the podcast to everyone else. But that's fine, This is for fun.
Yeah. When you rule with an iron fist, it is fun, What is it? George Bush had some... so we went... We're going to get to Flesh and Blood, don't worry. But this is why this is a non-canonical episode, is because we're filling the time of 2 other people here in this beginning parasocial part of the podcast. We went into a local thrift store and somebody had thrift donated a bunch of political buttons from the early 2000s when George Bush was president. And one of the buttons or something, which I don't really get. Anyway, it was like George Bush's face and had a quote. And it's like, no, this isn't a dictatorship. If it was a dictatorship, I would be the dictator and shit would get done.
Those simpler times when he was the most evil person around.
Right? Yeah, just a buffoon of a man, not a actual evil person. Perhaps evil, but too much of a buffoon to make it happen. Yeah. Anyway.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, I do think that in this here episode, where it's just us, it's a reminder of the simpler times of the Attack Action podcast, maybe a reminder of simpler times of Flesh and Blood and our place in it and our enjoyment therein. It's also a reminder that you can support us on Patreon. We got 2 new supporters. Shout out to our new 2 supporters. We are very thankful for you. Happy to have you in our Discord, and we're very excited to get to know you more. It's easy as $4 a month. I misplace more than $4 a month. I think I spend more on fees for delivery food than that. It's just like, it's almost nothing. But for us,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It helps me. It will help me pay Greg to edit our episodes when he has more time to do it.
And those delivery fees.
And yeah,
for
exactly.
food. You know?
All Patreon money is exclusively going towards DoorDash. That's not true, unless it's the Hype House, and then maybe. But yeah, so please think about that. Also, if you just don't want to do that, that's fine, and you can still keep on listening. But if you want to buy any of these cool new cards in the Junted, because they're so hard to pull, go on over to Fab Foundry. Use our little link in the doobly doo. We get a little kickback. That's just capitalism, commerce, and friendship all wrapped up into one confusing pile.
Totally. Mainly friendship, though, really.
I mean, Onnit's been a supporter of the show for many years, and so we support him and his business because they're fair and fast and careful with your product. So,
dude, totally. I ordered a buttload of Marie Antoinette swag, and it showed up so quickly, so well packaged, and it wasn't in a bunch of fucking weird envelopes taped to like a random piece of cardboard, and it's like all kind of damp, and you're like, uh-oh. And then
wait, I'm sorry, you didn't want them damp?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great experience,
Yeah. I think on that note, if you make a good Marie Antoinette deck, I think we should call it Let Them Eat Cake.
Done.
And then we'll do a deck tech. So stay tuned in the future in the other timeline where that will happen. Or maybe it's stuck in this timeline now. Who knows? Time is weird.
I have been brew dogging the Marie Antoinette deck, and it is hella fun.
Nice.
Tell you what. Yeah. It is hella fun.
What about it makes you the most excited and have the most fun?
It's much more aggressive than all the other assassins. So you can kind of be like, no blocks. And then, take a buttload of damage. And then you're like, all right, Bonds of Agony. And then you have 3 cards in hand and a card in arsenal. And they're like, I block for 2 with armor. And I'm like, you fool.
Nice.
Here's 15 damage. And give me them cards, So that's pretty fun.
Do you play any contract cards in it, or is it mostly stealth?
Right now, just 3 surgical and 3 leave no witness, just because those are really good.
The best
surgical is okay. Leave no witness is really good when you are like, uh-oh, I need to block, and then you play Codex and then play leave no witness.
Nice.
So that play is still good. The deck feels like 90% M's though.
Yeah. Assassin's a crazy class.
Yeah.
I mean, although I feel like all classes are trending towards that. Like, the longer this game goes, that just kind of seems inevitable. What's the dagger loadout?
Hunter's Clave.
Really? Double Clave.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Double Clave. You just attack them with one, flick the other one. You're like, get junted, bro. And they're like, oh, fuck, I'm junted. And then you're like, yeah.
Like, wow. I know how it feels to be Mark Harmon.
Yeah. I'm Mark Harmon. I got to say, in our locals, Blake lives vibrantly. Everybody yells, I was born for this, when stuff's going good for them. So shout out to Blake Maya.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of iterations and deck building and being around for a long time, our boy Viserai Runeblood, RIP, has living legend in the most proper way a person could possibly live in legend after 5 years of playing
slow and steadily over 5 years.
Yeah, to go from like unplayable to brokenly playable to unplayable to then really playable again is what a journey. He's been around so long that basically all of the commons you played for him like got recycled 3 times. You're like, well, all these commons are gone. And these are unplayable now. Ooh, here's all these new ones. We'll play all those. And then like, you know, etc. So great hero. Previously my favorite hero in the game. I mean, if you go back to like episode 3, maybe I have an entire dissertation on how to play and deck build him when he was very bad in like 2020, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted nothing more than to make Viserai really good. You know, you had to do crazy shit where you were trying to stack at least 5 Runechants, hold on to Arsenal Slogism, pitch a blue, play Slogism, play Arknight Ascendancy, and then also have set up the Rattle Bones for when you deal arcane damage, you can then play that, break Skeleta, play that at an instant, and then play fucking Arknight Ascendancy again. And that was kind of the combo, which I feel like would pop off now maybe, but back then it was too hard to pop off like that.
Pop off.
Yeah. So
episode 5, Ranger and Runeblade analysis back in October of 2020. Go back and check those out. It's
maybe 3 hours of podcasting right
Taylor here. And Isaac just figuring out this game like in a side, in a bubble, because there wasn't a lot of access to it and there wasn't a lot of information on decks, and everyone's just like, well, I don't know, I'll just do this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Viserai, also one of my early heroes. I think first time I played Rhinar, and I think quickly after that I tried playing Viserai. He's just got cool vibes.
Always has.
I think probably one of the most like fun hero abilities, because it's just there, and it's just kind of, okay, I do this and then this happens. Oh yeah, and then I get I get this, and just like, and I don't know, every time you do it, you're just like, this is crazy. And then Mob Skies, what's that one?
Shrill?
Mordred Tide, one of the most fun cards ever. You're just like, now I'm just doubling everything.
Yeah. It rewards you for just like doing what you want to do. You're like, I just want to play cards. And it's like, here, have these extra presents when you play these. And you're like, thanks. This is great.
Super fun. You know, it used to be so clunky. You're just like, okay, now I got to play this really bad non-attack action so that I can do this. And then you're like, and I attack you for 3 and 1. It's like, oh. But just you wait. I have Arsenal to read the runes, so next turn I am blocking out and going to make 4 more Runechants.
Those were the days. So shout out to Viserai, the first of the original 8 heroes to Living Legend, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
I wonder if anybody had a bet on that, who would be the first,
I think, being absolutely unbiased, I probably would have had him up there.
Wow. I would have thought it was Bravo if you asked me back in the day. And I'm surprised still that Dash is also very close, and thought maybe they would get there, but Viserai did it. Good job.
It's crazy that Azalea is higher than Bravo right now. That's how long things have been changing and shifting.
That is crazy. Shout out to my Cold Foil Nebula Blade.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens there. Mr. James White teasing us again with some tantalizing non-information about maybe him coming back. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I mean, makes sense. Why get rid of something that's cool? Just shake it up a little bit and bring it back, because especially when there's a legendary fable with his name on it.
Yeah, right. Which I never figured out a time in which I could own one of those, you know?
Here's hoping the LL makes that drop in price.
That'd be great.
Swoop right in.
Swoop right in.
Yeah, very cool. What do you know what event he won? Or was it just RTN?
Accumulation of RTN points, I believe.
Well, congrats to you cumulative RTN winners who played Viserai.
I think also the first hero to LL both in Blitz and in Classic Constructed.
Oh.
Right? Unless you count, I guess, Chain. Never mind. Chain. Sorry. Briar.
Yeah.
Old him. Okay, never mind.
He's the first old school hero to do both.
Never mind. Punch me in the face. Okay.
That's fine. We all make mistakes. We're human. Is Viserai human? We don't know. He doesn't take the mask off. They don't. They. Viserai.
They have a clear gender, yeah.
Yeah, because they're Volcor.
Yes.
And they have a thing. Anyways. Well, that's fun. I'm sad a little bit, but Viserai is tight. And I feel like in Living Legend, he's probably a lot of fun to play because you can just play a bunch of crazy shit that's banned everywhere else. So
yeah.
We'll just forget about.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll forget about the one hit decks that were popular for a hot minute. That all they did was build a million Runechants and attack ones.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Sure. I'm glad you did.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, okay. There we go. What else are we going to talk about in this episode? We're going to talk about, I don't know, the state of the game and the products and how things are kind of going. We have a bunch of new things happening. We got more about Armory Decks and how sealed product is hitting for those who open it, and gym packs, etc. So we got some spoilers too. We got some Valda action. So we're going to be talking about that today. Now that you know what this episode is about, 30 minutes into the podcast. So
sounds like as good a time as any to talk about it.
Absolutely. Where do you want to start, Colin? Should we start with?
I want to start with the overtly negative and then move towards the gray area after that.
Dude,
and for me, the overtly negative. Good, then we're gonna have a good time here.
Oh, this is gonna get sexy.
The overtly negative for me is the sealed product opening situation, which has felt pretty bad for a while. I think it's I caveat way up front that I'm sure this is a very hard thing to balance in a way that is good for the game play and the sealed gameplay and the CC gameplay, and also the collecting. It's like you want people to feel good about buying it, but it's like, I just feel like we've gotten to the point where things feel so hard to open. It's like I remember the first time they did like Marvel's. Well, one of the first regular sets with Marvels, I think, was Uprising, right?
Yeah, because you had the
dragons.
In the Icelander Marvel too.
Yeah. Because I think they did, Starvo before that, but that was another set. But anyways, and I feel like you would just like open Marvel dragons. And you'd be like, oh, this is dope. Like, I got this Marvel dragon. And like, maybe there was like just so many more in there that they just hit more. But I don't know, man. It's so hard to open like a Marvel. It feels so hard to open a cold foil legendary, and it feels so bad to open up a rainbow foil legendary where you're just like, oh, great. This is, worth $15, which I guess, I don't know. There's so many sides of this where it's just like, oh, that's nice. But I feel like it has, I don't know. It really highlights to me the fact that, again, I need to stop buying. It's like I need to only buy sealed or only buy singles and I need to commit to that up front, because if I buy sealed and I don't get what I want and then I have to buy singles, I'm like, I just spent twice as much money as I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And then I felt really bad about it. So like, I just need to like give up on that and maybe just buy sealed for, holding on to play with first. Cause like, that to me, that's like the only other way to get the right amount of value out of a box is when you draft it or play sealed with some friends, which is not always easy to do. So, and then you're just staring at the boxes and you're like, well, what if I just open one of them? And then, that one wasn't very good. What if I opened this one?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it has felt really swingy. Like it used to feel back in the day like it was pretty consistent. Like, okay, like I'm not going to get a crazy box, but I'm going to get like good value out of like this case. Like, and now I've had so many experiences where a case feels really bad, and you're just like, holy crap, this is like the biggest waste of money I've ever done. So yeah, like I said, there's too many factors of this that I don't understand in the production of cards, and I'm curious if they've actually changed anything in how it's done, or if this indeed is just randomness, or pseudo randomness being enacted, and us feeling the kind of ramifications of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I think after the set's been out for a while, they tell you if it's short printed or how it's printed, right? It's maybe in the collector part of the website or something like that. But now it's like, I mean, I haven't bought sealed product in a while. I've moved to singles since probably heavy hitters, maybe even before that. Yeah, no, I bought Bright Lights, but since heavy hitters has been single town only. And there's just I love the amount of stuff to collect, but I don't like how hard that stuff is to collect. You know what I mean? Like, I love it that we have rainbow foil legendaries, and I love it that we have cold foil extended art legendaries, and I love it that we have majestics that you get in rainbow foil, and I also love it that we have extended art rainbow foil majestics you can get,
Yes,
which is really sick and like clearly the best choice there. But it's like really, those are hard to just pull innately. So you just got to trade. You just have this whole extra thing you got to do where you got to trade or buy or finagle, unless you're like really rich, then you can just be like, whatever, I'll just buy all the sickest shit, which is great. And that's like, 1%. But yeah, it's like, it's hard to be like, look at all this sick shit that I could collect. And then you open a box and you collected none of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you have a good point that there's so much more that's cool to collect.
Yeah.
And yet it seems harder than ever to collect any of it.
Yeah.
Which like seems totally backwards. Like, if there's more shit, it should be easier to like be like, oh, cool. Like, I didn't get the exact thing I wanted, but I got something like of near equal value that I could trade, because it's like, this is a trading card game. Like, we should be able to trade for things if that we need, it's like, I open this box, you open a box. Oh, cool. You got that. I got this. Boom. Now we both got what we wanted, but I feel like there's just like not enough hits in there to give you what you need. And like, yeah, and that just makes it suck. And I think this also has just highlighted me that I'm like, have a degenerate gambler living somewhere deep inside me that really wants to just like let it ride. Like, let's go. Like, come on, let's just open, it's like, I got 2 cases. Well, I was going to save that other case, but should I just open it? Maybe I'll just open it. When am I going to play sealed again? And it's just like, well, no, I'm keeping it there. It's fine. It'll be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a thing about me that I need to work on, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that because they're just like, it's fun to do it, but then the immediate, the immediate consequence, the downside of it, like really sucks. And it's a hard needle to thread, but it just feels like everything's like very low, or like people get like the craziest boxes. And it's just like, I feel like the people who print this stuff, like this is all they do. Like I feel like this should be figured out, I feel like other games like have boxes that hold value and like have good, expected value, on what you open. And, and I think that's really it. It's like with everything I open should at least match the value of what I paid for the whole box. And if it doesn't, like, I don't need to like hit the lottery and get like the most expensive card, but I should feel at least like I got the value of what I paid for it. And if you're factoring in like, oh, well, it's for sealed and drafting play, it's like, okay, well, that's like 10% of the consumers who buy boxes probably do that, versus most of them are just ripping into things. So
yeah. And we kind of, this is like a Blake thing too, right? Is that Classic Constructed is suffering a bit for the extra tuned nature of draft and sealed in sets, and potentially maybe our collectors and people who want to open booster boxes are suffering from that as well, which this is all just like total speculation, and I think has arguments on both sides, and I'm not really committing to either side of this, but just more about the thought experiment of, is that what's going on? Are we thinking critically about that, as a company, and keeping those things in mind? Is it within the margins you think are acceptable? Does anybody else feel this way? Please talk to us in the comments below, or Discord, or BlueSky, or whatever. We want to know how y'all feel about this. So
yeah, it is very much anecdotal evidence that we're working from. I'm not going to crunch numbers on this, but it seems pretty. Yeah, it seems pretty common for people. It's a common sentiment right now that like, hits are scarce, and it can feel pretty bad to open some the latest sets, unless I guess you're opening like many cases, which is like I don't even want to think about that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to do about it, but other than comment on it and hope they take notice. And if they are tuning the equation and the formula, maybe tune it a little bit more towards us having good feelings about opening the product.
Yeah, because I am like full on board with extended art majestics, extended art cold foil legendaries, all of that stuff. But it's like really excited for Call to the Grave and 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and those cards are wildly expensive, although I haven't checked in a while, so maybe they've gone down, but still they were like $100, that sucks.
What I just thought, I wonder if they're operating from an expectation of number of boxes sold, like sealed products sold based off of like the height of, fab investment when people went like absolutely nuts and are printing such large amount. Because like, when's the last time a set went out of print? Like,
Right.
it's been a while, and I don't think a lot of the latest, sets from the past couple of years are going to go out of print for a while. So I think, possibly this is the right random, right amount of randomness, but across a too small sample pool. So we're just like not seeing it. And these cards that, they're hoping to be more available because people are opening all this stuff are not being opened because they're actually just sitting there in sealed boxes.
Potentially. Call to the Grave right now, $160 on TCG Player extended art. 10 foot tall and bulletproof though, $41.
All
Reasonable.
right.
Reasonable.
Yeah. It's a very, you can't have everything be cheap because then it doesn't feel like it holds value. But then if there's too many things that don't have or that are too expensive, it feels like, you're chasing these cards. And if you don't open any of them, you're just like, well, this sucks. I've wasted my money. And now I have all these shitty common cards that nobody wants. But I mean, I don't know if there's much more on that specific topic to explore. But I do wonder if there is just like a scale thing that we're missing out on, and we just need to open more boxes.
That's right. Open this shit up, people. Yeah. I should just open those 6 boxes of bright lights I have over there. That'll help the market. There could be an Already Dead in there. That's probably an important card.
That's a good one. All right, next bit. Next product. Bring it on down the product line, Taylor.
We're going to talk Armory Decks.
Nice.
Already Dead is only $17. That's not bad. All right. Yeah, Armory Decks. So great idea. Love Armory Decks. But there's a travesty happening right now for a show favorite character. Her name is Betsy. And not only did a hotter, in quotations here, Guardian woman get spoiled before we get freaking Log, Max, the Hype Nitro, is getting an Armory deck where he gets a whole new wrench. And Betsy is out here freaking betting big, drinking them under the table. And there is no justice for her, even though the vibes are immaculate. Her ability for friendship is unrivaled in the world of Fab. And where's her Log? The injustice is cutting me deep. Yeah.
That's all we want to know.
How is that just not a thing that has just popped up? How do we not have that in the barrel, ready to shoot that out right away?
I mean, let's take a step back and we'll talk about Armory Decks. I think.
Okay. All right. I got heated.
We all agree that we stand Betsy, and we are upset that Log has not shown itself to us. Just a miss on lore and world building and fan service in the most wholesome kind of way, to give us Log so Betsy can smash with Big Log. That's what Betsy wants to do. We all know this. So, Armory Decks, I think, we can all agree Armory Decks, this was a good move. Being able to go to the store, be like, I want to try this game. They say, here's this deck. We're starting an Armory in 10 minutes. You can play this deck. You're good to go.
Yeah. Great idea. Love it.
Wonderful, wonderful idea. Now we're serving new unreleased heroes also wonderful. Love that. Jarl, that's the only one I got. Jarl, he's up there on my shelf. Kind of don't want to open it because I'm not going to play it right now. But also the reason if I open it, there's nowhere to put the cards that I got in it because it's just a oddly shaped box, which I wish I had two so I could like squish them together to see if they made like a square, because like they're just so weird and they feel, because of the weird obtuse angle of the cardboard fold, they feel squishy, like you're going to harm the box by handling it. And like I, from like a design school perspective, like you take a photo of it, you're like, yeah, that looks pretty cool. But once you like get it in hand, which is like, it's a product you put in your hand, it kind of falls a little flat. But even more than that, there's nothing on the inside except a shrink wrap pack of cards.
Yeah.
And at the price point and with what the product should be offering compared to other games, like, give us a little deck, like deck box. Give us a little, give us something else in there. Even just a deck box. I think a deck box would be great. A deck box and a token, a pitch token or something like.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing I was thinking about this too, like paper playmats. I get the argument for not having them because some people are going to buy this and they don't need the playmat. So I'm fine with that kind of like not being in there, but like a deck box just to be like, yeah, you bought these cards, you put them in the deck, like, or like with sleeves too, be like, yeah, you get the sleeves for the hero so you can sleeve up your deck and just like put it in its deck box and then play and then move around your armory so you're not just holding the cards in your hand.
Yeah, in your hand, or putting them in your like pocket, or whatever.
Which is what I do with my sealed pools, but that's just because I'm a cool guy.
Yeah, I agree. And there's similar products from other games that have a similar price point, and you get those things, right? Like you can get a Pokemon deck and it gives you a deck box and a functional deck to play and tokens and a thing to put your tokens in. And, stuff for Magic gives you a little deck box in there, a little booklet, etc. Like, it's such a good product. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, or at least I have. It's such a good idea for a product, but it needs to be zhuzhed up a little bit. We need, just like a tiny thing for you to like also put in there, and that's all we need, And the other thing I will say is, like, I think they're trying to justify the price point with like the rarity of the cards or whatever is going on in there, but that's just like arbitrary and made up by them. You know what I mean? It's not what is actually valuable. What would be valuable is for you to just be like, I fit in. I have a deck box and tokens and can just play this game like everybody else.
Yeah. And then for the value for people who are already entrenched in this game is I can buy a deck and have a couple of these on hand to be like, hey, friend, do you want to try this game? You just play this deck. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah.
And then, I know a lot of people share their built decks and stuff like that, but it's nice to come in with something like a little more basic that, has less, entrenched. I already said entrenched. I don't know. Less like knowledge required to run it, because it's, it's the product version, it's not the crazy busted version that somebody else came up with that does these really weird things that you have to sequence in the, very specific order or something like that. Totally.
I also don't understand this hero release schedule that they're doing, like, how are they choosing these heroes and why is this the time? Like, Rosetta just comes out, right? And then we get Jarl and everybody is hyped. Like, this is so sick. New hero. this is such a good idea for our Armory deck. Let's get more new heroes. And then we get Aurora and now Max. And Aurora was one set ago,
Yep.
which feels super weird. And Aurora was also the first strike deck. I guess there must have been. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. But my theory is that in some sort of market testing, Aurora must have scored really high with consumers, and they're like, "All right, first strike deck. We'll put her in Rosetta, and we'll make an Armory deck. That'll like really get people into the game or interested because of however this hero scored,
Yeah. But that doesn't hold up to Max Nitro.
That does not, which I don't get that at all. I mean, I get it, beloved hero, I think, blah, blah, blah. But,
They also dropped the hype from it. And now it's just Max Nitro.
Well, that's upsetting. It's like this whole thing.
Everything is upsetting about Max Nitro. Let's be honest.
And we still don't have log
tongue I hate looking at Max. I will say, I'll forgive Aurora because I think it's dope. I think she's like a cool looking character. I think her box with the white and purple is very enticing looking. It's eye catching. It's woman of color on there, like also stand for that. In this fucking crazy world we live in right now, that is.
Oh boy.
Anyways, so I'll give that a pass, but I do agree that it's a weird timing thing, and the timing of these releases are odd. Let's look back at them. KO came out right after, he came out slow enough that he almost hit Living Legend before, or there was worries that he would hit Living Legend before his Armory deck came out. And then they're and then Bolton, you're just like, oh, okay, that was a weird little trick, and then Azalea, it's okay, so they're going back to give, some of these older heroes some support and some fan favorites, because people who love Bolton, man, they love Bolton. And Azalea, people who love Azalea, they love Azalea, and then there was Dash, and at that point you're just kind of okay, this is now they're just backfilling things because their new model of not printing expansion sets is hurting. So it just kind of loses a lot of pizzazz in there, I think. And then Jarl, I think is a nice one coming back in. So I mean, that all being said, it's cool to see them do that. I think it's weird they don't just release it with the set.
Yeah.
It's they do I was looking at the Blitz package or whatever they sell, that you used to get a Blitz deck and now you buy the whole all Blitz decks. You get the card case and a playmat. I'm just that feels more like what I want with my Armory deck is I get a cool box, I get a cool playmat, and then I get a cool deck to play the most popular version of the game with.
Yeah, I don't get that. Are they still on the stand? Are the numbers still Blitz is the most played format? Because everywhere I go, it's classic constructed. And you know what? Every tournament you have, 90, let's say 80% of them are classic constructed. So I don't understand that reasoning.
Yeah. I mean, I do think one thing, and I think Blake, we were talking about this in our production meeting, and Blake, God rest his evening for not being here. It had a good point about, this. It's an interesting way for them to kind of support different archetypes, I think, was the thing he was talking about.
Yeah.
But it's like I think he expressed it. It's like this double-edged thing where they're like kind of, it feels like they're not doing it on either side, where they're not offering enough archetypes, but they're also not supporting the ones that exist fully.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this like middle ground, which I think his example, and I think this is something we've seen a lot throughout all of Flesh and Blood, is like they print these cards. We're like, oh, this is like really built for like this different kind of, ranger, or this different kind of, ninja or whatever. And we don't always see that really come to fruition. And then sometimes we do, it's like there was all those tiger cards, and then Zen showed up, and then maybe he used some of them a little bit. I don't know. I don't actually know how that. It'd be really interesting to go back and really see like where the seed was planted and if it grew into an oak tree or just a shrub.
Right.
But I think the one example where I think this has worked out in an interesting way was Rune Blades, where we have all these different Rune Blades who are all very different in their power and in how they, play, and the archetype that they kind of adhere to. And we're kind of really lacking that depth because of the, just lack of heroes for each class. It's like we have so many Rune Blades, we have so many Guardians, but there's like a lot fewer of, a certain number of other classes. And those classes are always very, I don't know. Yeah. So it feels like this is the Armory deck is an opportunity to kind of deliver that archetype in whole, like be like, here you go. This is a new way of playing this class, and, some extra stuff that might be good for the other classes or the other heroes of the same class. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they're not quite like sticking the landing of what this is, both in like the value of what they're delivering and the contents of those decks. Cause I don't know. What do you think what do you think they could do to make an Armory deck that both kind of is more than just this pile of cards and they're selling a weird box?
I just think new heroes is the way to go. Because you don't have that feeling of like, well, I got to get this Armory deck for the 2 cards for the hero I really like to play. And you also get rid of the thing you're talking about, which is like we're giving you kind of a new archetype to kind of play with, but not really, but also not supporting the current archetype for your hero. Whereas if you just do a new hero, you can do whatever you want and use the existing card pool for that hero, and just put those cards in there. And then that's a way to get people cards that have already been printed a little bit. And then also just like we just get new exciting stuff, which is not always like, which is maybe like a idea of capitalism and consumerism. But I think in terms of kind of optics for your product, like the thing that would get me the most excited for sure is new heroes. And if you're a new player, it doesn't matter. They're all new heroes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it like doesn't matter at all. And
to a point, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You print some of these old heroes, like we have an Azalea Armory deck that's like, and Azalea is pretty close to hitting Living Legend, and that's the last thing you want is someone being like, "Oh, I love this like cool Ranger character," and they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't buy that," or they do buy it, and they're like, "Actually, you can't play that; it's not legal." And it's like, bro, like, and I'm sure most armories would be like, "It's fine, like you're new, like just play the deck, like we're not going to penalize you for that." But it is that thing where like you're like, "Well, shit, I can't play this hero now," like that. that feels weird. So by printing a brand new hero, you're much less likely to run into that, and you can really explore that and be excited about it. And then you're hitting that thing where it's like exciting for new and seasoned players.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about breaking the current hero.
Yeah.
You know? So you're just like, because and I haven't really played. I've played some with the other Armory decks, but more exclusively just way more Jarl. And Jarl is just such a huge hit for me in terms of vibes, how that deck plays, how that hero plays into everybody else. Like whoever was the lead designer on that, great job. You like did such a banger job. You know what I mean? And yeah. So anyway, those are all my thoughts about freaking Armory decks. Great idea. Would love to see it implemented slightly better, you know?
Yeah, room for improvement, but I think I have faith that with the release of Jarl, they're willing to do some stuff, and I hope that the sales show that, because again, this is capitalist society. This is a for-profit company. We need to buy the things that we think are good so that they will say, hey, they like this thing. We should make more of it because they will buy it.
Totally.
That's the relationship we have with them. We vote with our dollars for what things are good, and hopefully they're listening and we'll make more of those.
Agreed. Speaking of stuff they make, should we talk about gem packs?
Let's talk about gem packs. Gem packs
for the Junted are freaking sweet. I'm loving gem packs. I think it's way more fun than getting weird promos that you may or may not be playing. So what's happening? This is how it's breaking down in our locals. Everybody's getting gem packs. And the winner's getting an extra gem pack. Ooh. And I love it that there's puzzle pieces in there. I think that's so fun. And then what happens?
Pieces I haven't gotten a gem pack yet. So.
Yeah, there's a puzzle piece in there, and then 2 extended art cards. One of them's foil, and one of them's not.
That's fun. It's
fun. Really sick. And what's been happening is we're like, hey, you really like assassin stuff. Here's the assassin stuff. You got any warrior stuff? Boom. Here's the warrior cards. Blammo. And we're just throwing those around and just trading them, like nothing. And so you're getting like really, cool cards to put in your deck that could be playable. And I think that's just super fun and super cool. And I love it that the cards are really, really unique as well, So I think gem packs is a huge hit. I think also shout out to Fresh and Buds. By the time this episode is out, I will have been a guest on that podcast, and you can go listen to that if you want more of me talking with one other guy. So I'm doing that over there. And somebody asked if you could, they should reprint old expensive staples in gym packs. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's a great way to like add a few things into the card pool for you to get. And it's like another like little hit. I think that would be really cool for it to be also all about the set and also kind of have a few classics in there also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think I could see the argument of not doing it because you're just handing those over to stores, and not every store is going to be like, handle that appropriately if there's like Command and Conquers in there. But let's just assume the best in people, and that would be cool if they did that.
Yeah, sure. There's a Marvel Azuri in there, and so they could.
That's true. I guess we're already in that. We're already in there. So, yeah. I mean, I really like the idea. I think I agree. The old promos they definitely started to lose even like the original, even like alpha promos that I got for like, Welcome to Wraith are not great. They're just like regular extended arts of like some pretty not great cards, which like don't really hold any value. So I think, and then it's just like you just have this weird collection of them. You're like, oh, we didn't get any, so you can go pick one from like the last 3, and you're like, oh, great, I have a yellow, spike with frailty or something. Like, it's like this is garbage.
Doesn't come in yellow, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
The yellow of a card you didn't want,
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's really cool. I asked Blake about this because I'm still trying to get onto my new Armory schedule, which is just looking more and more like I just having to go to a new store, which is probably why I haven't done it yet. Cause it's like, okay, I gotta I don't know who's there. It's like, okay, just gotta do it.
It's a whole new social thing. I get it.
Yeah.
Don't know what the vibe is.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten one. So I asked Blake, and he had said that it is definitely cool, but more people are now showing up at the Armory because of them, because they're so cool, but there's not enough for everyone there. So now it becomes a competitive thing where they're giving it away by like how well you do in the Armory. And I think that really, was my fear from the beginning, knowing our local meta and the size of our population and the number of people who play and the number of people who are really good. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, here's another thing that I will not probably win, and therefore I will feel bad because I didn't get a chance to open up anything fun in these cool gem packs.
Totally.
Which, again, these are lots of things you can't do a lot about, but I think the spirit of it and the execution of it seems really fun, and like that's a huge hit for me.
Totally. I think the gym pack snafu is on the store to figure out how to manage. I believe LSS has said like, hey, just if you need more, just freaking order more from us, like we can do that. So that doesn't happen. I think it just initially maybe has been like, ooh, this is more popular than we think it's going to be. And then not handling it in a equitable way, to make it as such. And is, and that kind of goes back to, kind of the nature of the game is just all about competition. And we still don't have a way to interact with the game in a casual setting.
Lo-fi hip hop to study to kind of way.
Yeah, we don't have that going on,
Yeah, which is what I need, to be honest. But yeah. I think it does highlight that kind of continued issue, which I don't know. I don't know how much that will kind of continue to be a thorn in the side of fab growth, because I feel like they've crushed competitive card game. Like,
totally, super
really good. It's best, strong. Best. It rewards very a dedicated play and study. But for the rest of us who just have less and less time to do that, it feels like there's fewer options unless you organize it yourself. And which is like, sure, we can do that. And I should probably try to do that more. But it also, that's the really nice thing about a TCG is that you get a community with it. You say, okay, I show up and we can all play, and I still can, it doesn't stop, but it's just, it becomes, it can be difficult at the end of a long, hard day, within a, crazy, the crazy times we live in, to go then play some really long, strenuous, and intense games to then lose and then not get anything cool out of it. And then you're just like, why am I doing this? And I'm so tired now. And the next day I'm so tired because I was up late and I was thinking so hard all night that my brain is fried, So I've been thinking about that lately. Of like, it does worry me if like all of the things they do inevitably feel like it just drives up competition. Which, again, not really their fault. They're just trying to like give cool stuff to us. It's just our community seems to just always make it about the competition, and I'd love to hear how other people's LGSs are handling it, how they're doing it in their communities. Are we just giving shit out to people? I guess, Taylor, you guys are just, everyone's getting one, which is cool. And it's nice that the winner gets two, so it's like, it's just a little bonus. So yeah, I really need to hold myself to go to one of my new local stores and get in there and see how that plays out. So that I can kind of report back on how I feel after I open my first gem pack.
Yeah. And then you'll come back and you'll be like, well, I opened the Marvel Azuri, like all is right in the world.
Yeah. This game's the best. I don't know. We don't need to change anything.
Yeah, totally. Pull rates are perfect.
Yeah.
Just go to Armory. Which kind of brings us to like kind of how to wrap up this episode, I think, is like, what would we like to see more of, And for me, for a long time on this podcast, if you've been listening for a while, I have wanted a hero XP leaderboard that you can rank up. Like for all Blitz heroes, all classic constructed heroes, that we know who has gained the most XP on that particular hero. We know that Joe Smith is the greatest, Betsy player in the world. They have over
Joe
1,000 freaking Betsy XP. You know what I mean? And then you can have that XP also for heroes, right? So then like that hero has this much and that hero has that much total. Well, then maybe you have your community of Rhinar players and they're like, all right, we're going to do a hostile brute takeover. Everybody's playing Rhinar at Armory. We're going to get as many freaking XP points as freaking possible this weekend. And we're going to freaking pass whoever they're behind. You know what I mean? And just would be a cool thing for, at the end of the year or at some random points, LSS can then give you a special promo if you're the most baller on your hero or meet a certain threshold or something like that. Yeah. Like that would be a way to incentivize heroes that are played less, which I think is really crucial for the game because we have all of these heroes and like who's out there playing Olympia right now? Nobody. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the things I would like to see more of because we can still have this competitive focused game, but we can also like incentivize us to do weirder shit.
Yeah. I really love that. And like the idea that we can shape the competitiveness, it doesn't always have to take the same form every time.
Yeah.
We can have, it can be CC, but with like a little twist of, like for instance, it could be a lurkers
greatest
competition.
Format. Yeah. Greatest
living
format.
lurkers, AKA underdog. If you agree with that nomenclature, which like I think right now there's 13 heroes under 100 living legend points, and
hell yeah.
I think giving people multiple reasons to play different heroes or even specialize in heroes, because I think some people very much do specialize no matter what, and other people like to hop around because they want to win, or they're frustrated with their current meta, so they need to switch it up to try to, combat that. I think kind of doing a organized play, decree of, we're gonna do underdog, CC.
Living lurkers. Stop
Living
calling it
lurkers.
underdog.
I'm just weird. Speaking in their language, so they understand what I mean. But yes, we all know Living Lurkers is the original format that we invented here that no one had ever thought of before in the entirety of the planet. Trademark, patent pending, whatever.
It's just crazy to be a thought leader in the world, Like
every idea I've ever had has been taken by someone else.
I understand the weight and responsibility of being one of those people in the world, and
we are creators.
I take it serious.
Yeah. But I like the idea of the individual leaderboards for heroes, because I think that's really fun, and it does give people more to pay attention to and track, and kind of be like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm up there, I'm in like the top 5. Like if I play this, this deck a couple more times, I'm gonna be that number 1 spot. And I think there's something really fun about that feels less, because it's less about like winning whole armories, and it's just about kind of accumulated wins over time. Which I think that's really fun, because, not everybody wins armories, not everybody can, they always get to the last, final game and get crushed by the local dude that always crushes them or something. But I think having this kind of like side quest stuff would be really fun. Or like, have the most experience across the most different heroes, things like that, where you like can kind of collect different achievements.
That'd be sick.
And I think that kind of stuff, it's like basically free. They have the data. All they have to do is like collate it and show it, and then decide what to award people with, which still, again, like, yes, that does create some competition, but there's 36 different heroes. Like, not everybody's going to be like, yeah, dude, I'm going for it. I'm going to be Olympia, and I'm going to be the number 1 Olympia guy. And it's just like, there's one person out there who'd be like, I could do it. Like, nobody's playing Olympia. I'm going to do it. All I need is like 3 wins, and I'm like the number 1 Olympia player in the world. And it's just enough like silliness in there to just like get people out there, like, brewing new decks and trying things out, which I think would be really fun.
Totally. And you can be the first to 1,000, right? But first to 1,000 on 10 different heroes. You get 100 points in 10 different heroes, and you get 1,000 points, right? That's like some sort of achievement, etc. Like I loved that in Baldur's Gate 3, there was an achievement for if you reached the level cap by having one class in each, or having one level in each playable class, which is fucking awesome. That's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
But it's like a little gamified thing you could do, right? And so we could have that in the game. That's my master idea. LSS, feel free to steal it, please.
Yeah, and my idea too.
And Colin's idea too.
Living Lurkers.
Living Lurkers. Do both.
Living Lurkers armories and events. It'd be fun.
Yeah, totally. Because I don't know if the social play kits or things have taken off. I would like to know that. If your LGS is doing social plays monthly, weekly, or whatever, let us know. Because we want to know what that experience is like for other people elsewhere.
Let us know what you would like to see more of, or variations of, or dare I say less of. Hit us up.
Hit us up. Get after it.
All right. Before we go, should we talk about the strong woman in the room? Not Betsy. We already talked about Betsy. We love Betsy.
The queen.
We're talking
Betsy.
about her friend, Or maybe frenemy. I don't know. Who knows how that relationship is? Valda. What's her last name?
It was Bright Axe, but now it's Seismic Impact.
Valda Seismic Impact.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's a pretty good name.
Pretty good name. Very good art. I mean, could have been buffer if you ask me, but that's me in my weird kinks, so.
I think it's just the angle. She's pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to see some muscles. I want to see some veins. Like, come on. Let's get it out there. Valda, Guardian Hero. Whenever an opponent draws one or more cards during an action phase, create that many Seismic Surge tokens. At the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more Seismic Surge tokens, cards you own with Crush get Dominate this turn, which is pretty cool. So if for some reason you can give your fucking Crush card Go again, and you can play another one, you can have Dominate twice.
Let's go.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
What's your Crush card?
slight variation on Valda Bright Axe. It was whenever anyone draws a card, you create that many Seismic Surge tokens, and then same text, I believe, down there for the Dominate on Crush.
Interesting.
And convention would say that if your young hero had X amount of health points, you would get double that. So Valda, as a young hero, had 40 or had 21. So that if we double that, that would be, that's correct,
100.
42.
42. Oh, yeah, 42.
42. So pretty cool. I mean,
but she doesn't.
Valda.
She has 40.
Yeah, she has 40.
That's the point.
That's the point. I like Valda. Think she's a very cool character. I just can't wait for us to have another Guardian we're not really going to be playing that much.
It is yet another Guardian. That should be a acronym that we have. Yet another Runeblade and yet another Guardian.
Yeah.
And oh my God, really? Another Assassin? Those are all our acronyms. I think
somebody figure that out.
It's okay. So cool. She's cool. I think it's cool. I like it. The only time I played against Valda Bright Axe, I got totally crushed when I was trying to play the what's her name, Lexi deck that our dear friend Jesse has been brewing for years, and I just got totally crushed, and it made me so sad, and I hated it. But that's usually the case. The hero looks cool, and then I play against it, and I get crushed, and so does my love of that hero. But I think I don't know. It seems fun. I do think it's like, it is another Guardian, and it's just kind of like feels a little, I don't know. It feels like Guardian's just kind of like lost a bit. Like they haven't presented, like, other than like the Ice Guardian side of things, like that's kind of been our things. It's like you're a Guardian and it's like about your hero ability and whatever that does. So you just like play to that with whatever card pool you can, or you're Ice Guardian and you're going to like do some really messed up things to people and they're going to feel bad for a long time as that game draws out. But that all being said, the only thing I take issue with is that this is a promo. And like, where the hell do I get this card? And why I don't like that there's these heroes that only exist as promos that are like legal. Like, why can't I get a Valda deck? Like, why is that? Why are we doing these things where you're like, oh, well, you got to go to this thing. You got to go, to the pro tour, or you got to go whatever. Like, I don't know. It it upsets me that there's yet another barrier between me and playing the game that isn't just like me literally giving you my money and supporting you.
Totally. Yeah, it's pretty tough, especially when you're like really wanting to play that hero, but it's like, there's a hard way to get it, which I guess is whatever. It's made up. But yeah.
I mean, all things are made up.
All things are made up. It is tough though, but hopefully, and it would be, I don't know if it behooves them to say, and this will be in the Mastery Pack, Guardian Mastery Pack also, but
yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I hope it comes out somewhere else. I'm just thinking about Blaze, who's like kind of like a fun little wizard hero that, will you ever get another chance to just get her from a normal thing? I guess maybe, I don't know. I could look up how much it costs, but yeah, it just feels weird it's like I love releasing the new hero in the Armory deck. I don't love releasing the new hero as a promo that's, very isolated in who gets the opportunity to get that. So
yeah, that's the right sentiment there. But I'm excited for Valda to be in the mix.
Yeah. Seismic Impact, like, sounds good. I mean, it's like, maybe that just says something about me. It's like a little too sexual. And it didn't need to be that, but like it is, like it's like on the nose in the way that they normally do, but it's just kind of like, yeah, Valda, she's gonna fuck you up. Like,
yeah. Somebody on BlueSky like zoomed in, like she's stepping on some dude's neck, and it was like, who wants to do this to me right now? Or whatever. Oh yeah, love that. Love how tongue-in-cheek horny sometimes the community is, which is pretty great. But yeah, excited to have her in. Hashtag more buff women in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
Yeah. If I run for president, that's my platform I'm running on.
And more fat characters, because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Fucking, we love Betsy.
Totally. If I had more time, I would have put it together for Armory this last weekend. So
yeah, someone has like a deck, right? A good deck.
Yeah. Hold on. Pause for this. Only Betsy on BlueSky, who only plays Betsy and only posts about Betsy, qualified for Australian Nationals on Betsy and has taken Betsy to Nats in the coming season. So
that's just the best. Only Betsy's on BlueSky.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Oh, they're the person who just has. They just bought like a million Marvels. Okay, yeah, I've seen this before. I didn't realize it was the same account. I love that they did that, and now they've won playing Betsy deck. Hell yeah,
so good. And good. I love that. Yeah, 29, 47, 65, 83, 101. This is a crazy video. 106, Marvel Young Betsy's.
It's like, why are you just saying numbers?
No, I was counting.
Do you smell toast? Should I call an ambulance to your house?
I need Zake and Blaine. What?
Yeah, me too. I need a Zake and Blaine.
That's the other spinoff show. Love it. All right. Well, clearly this podcast has reached its word limit for this non-canonical episode.
We are powering down.
Exactly. Well, Colin, I freaking love you, man. And thanks for being here. Audience, thanks for being here. We freaking appreciate you. And thanks for enjoying our content and, our artistry. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you there. Goodbye.